Happy Monday, and welcome to another episode of Cases That Should Have Gone to the Supreme Court of Canada, but didn't. Today we're talking about the foreign buyer's tax. Cases that should have gone to the Supreme Court of Canada, but didn't. British Columbia imposed a foreign buyer's tax, essentially saying that anybody who is not a resident of British Columbia must pay a tax on top of the regular taxes that are paid when you purchase a property to recognize that there is a housing crisis in British Columbia and we need to prioritize Canadian residents for Canadian housing. Unfortunately, the challenge to this was brought as a result of a situation where a non-citizen incorporated a company in Canada and then used the Canadian company to purchase a property. And they argued that the true owner of the property was the company, and the company, because corporations are persons in law, was a Canadian, therefore the foreign buyer's tax didn't apply. The court saw through this workaround and found that no, the foreign buyer's tax should apply. A leave was sought to the Supreme Court of Canada and it was denied. And well, I certainly agree personally with the outcome of the Court of Appeal decision that led to this application. I think the Supreme Court of Canada should still have granted leave. We are in a housing crisis, and assessing the extent to which government can impose taxes and on whom they can impose taxes, particularly where there is this corporate veil taking place that disguises who perhaps the beneficial owner of a property may be, is something that the Supreme Court of Canada should comment on. The housing crisis isn't just in British Columbia anymore, it's also in other provinces. And having guidance from the Supreme Court of Canada about the extent to which a province can impose these taxes and how the taxes should be interpreted in terms of personhood status and residency requirements is something that could guide all other provinces if they want to bring in a similar scheme in their provinces or territories. And unfortunately, the Supreme Court of Canada really missed the opportunity to recognize the impact that them chiming in on this might have in a positive way to the housing crisis in Canada. Hopefully the Supreme Court of Canada does take an opportunity to get involved in this housing crisis issue because it is an issue of national importance, the very thing that they are supposed to be adjudicating at that level of court. Cases that should have gone to the Supreme Court of Canada but didn't. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Cases That Should Have Gone to the Supreme Court of Canada but Didn't. I'm Kyla Lee at Acumen Law Corporation. Please like, subscribe, and share with your friends.